today, sir. Have you ever heard of Scientology?
I joined Scientology to save the planet.
You are the elite. You have been chosen.
This to me was life and death. I was indoctrinated to believe I was defending the underdog.
We're gonna need a truck and some gasoline.
But everything changed. It was becoming this torture chamber, corporal punishment, forced confession.
Where were you? Bring him in.
I finally realized who it is that's really suppressing me. It's Marty.
I had to get out of there.
Come on, baby.
She just disappeared. She's not coming back.
Right.
It's a conspiracy. They had no qualms about hurting me. Call me master.
I dropped out of university in the summer of '77. I wanted to live a life of adventure, and I wanted to find the answers to the world. I was doing a lot of traveling. I was hitchhiking up and down the coast, and I was working in agriculture to finance it. I was living my dream. One day, I called my dad.
Hey, Dad, it's Mark. What do you mean?
He told me that my brother, Bruce, had gotten into some kind of altercation and was arrested, and he was committed to a mental institution. My dad was very distraught, and it was devastating for me, too.
All right, bye.
So I decided to hitchhike up to Portland and see what I could do about my brother, find out what was going on. I arrived at the hospital the first time in the evening. You know, it's all dark and quiet. My brother, he's unconscious, and I tried to stir him.
Bruce, wake up.
I finally got him to open his eyes. And when he looked at me, it was just this hollow look. There was no even glimmer of recognition. It was kind of frightening. They had given him chemical straitjacket, drugs designed to immobilize unruly and psychotic patients.
What have they done to you?
I just hugged him and I cried, and I told him I'm gonna get you out of here. It was weeks before he came back out again. I found an apartment, and my brother came to live with me. You know, I tried to get him interested in life. When I was a young child, my mother committed suicide by jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. When my mother died, Bruce took me under his wing and watched out for me. Now, I felt like it was my turn to look out after him. Over time, you could see him start to come out of his shell more, and I was happy about it.
Bruce?
I come back one day, and he's not there.
Bruce? Hey,
Hi, Mark.
you see my brother?
I find out he's been recommitted.
What?
He'd taken some kind of recreational drug, got himself into a state, and wound up back in the hospital. It was a devastating blow. I'm bending over backwards, trying to help him out, and the moment I took my eye off him, he was off doing drugs. At that point, I was ready to give up on him. And so I just said, screw it, I'm done with this. I decided I was going to go down to the bus station and go as far south as I could for 25 bucks I had. And I walked by the Scientology Center.
How are you today, sir? May I stop you for just one moment, sir?
One of the street recruiters began to tell me about Scientology. I really didn't have an interest in it, but then I saw the book, It was Dianetics, the modern science of mental health. And I thought, mental health, that's exactly what I'm dealing with.
It's an alternative approach to mental health.
We talked back and forth, and I told him a little bit about my brother.
It goes along very well with our course that we are giving at this time.
He said the introduction communications course was $50, and I told him I only had 25.
You know what? That's fine.
I literally just ended up giving him everything I had.
John, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
But it got me into that course. And I started the next night.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for coming. Let's get started with today's lesson.
It was a very upbeat place.
Thank you for coming. Please have a seat.
All the people were of my age and had similar backgrounds.
Hey, guys.
Today we're going to talk about auditing.
You start learning about the process of auditing, which is the central practice of Scientology. Everything revolves around it.
So we'll just start with some simple questions. I'm going to get you to hold these.
The auditor would take up a list of areas or questions to find areas of trauma.
Can you tell me a bit about your mother?
She killed herself.
It's incredibly cathartic to be able to face all of your demons.
What about your relationship with your brother?
He's pretty troubled himself.
So I started talking with my supervisor about what I was going to do about my brother.
Thank you for your honesty, Mark.
It's good to get it off my chest.
The mental health system is telling me there's no solution for my brother. I thought maybe Scientology was an alternative. This to me was life and death.
I'll see you again soon.
Come on, bro.
He needed to be okayed by a whole panel of psychiatrists, so it was weeks before he came back out again.
Yeah.
When Bruce moved back with me, I was kind of encouraged.
What's this? You reading it?
Yeah, it's just something I was given. I go to a class about it every night. It's actually a really good read. Give it a shot.
He started reading some of the Scientology books.
I was actually hoping that you'd like to give auditing a try.
Yeah, maybe.
I took Bruce down to the Scientology Center and introduced him to the registrar.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Thanks for coming in.
My brother Bruce.
Nice to meet you.
And I wanted to give them their space and let the experts do their thing.
Right this way.
So I got a newspaper and had a cup of coffee and waited. Suddenly I see this figure flashing by, and it's Bruce, and he's heading out of it like there's a fire in the building.
Hey, Bruce. What happened, brother?
And I run up to catch up with him, and he's just walking in a fury. He just wouldn't talk.
Stop and talk to me for a second.
And I'm like, Bruce, man, what happened, brother? And so I had to go back to find out what happened.
Mark. What did you say to him?
I was told that Bruce couldn't receive auditing because he had an institutional history.
I told you he had mental illness before I brought him in.
And he said Scientology had a long-standing policy to not accept people for counseling who had an extensive psychiatric history.
I don't care about your stupid policy!
And I had been leading Bruce to believe there is still hope. And he's told, there's no hope for you.
It's ridiculous.
When my brother got rejected, his whole world caved in. And so I'm completely disappointed. What am I going to do? So I came up with a solution. The solution was if they can't handle them, I'll handle them. I'll learn all that they know, and then I'll use that with my brother. I would learn to be an auditor myself. One night, my brother comes in drunk.
It's on your shirt. That fight with this guy, I don't know. I think he might have killed over or something.
Tells me he thinks he might have killed a man. And I'm saying,
What?
I don't know.
You think you might have killed somebody?
No.
I start inquiring about it, and the more I inquire, the more uptight he gets.
I'm trying so hard to help you! I've been trying hard my whole life! You're not trying hard enough!
He throws me on the concrete. My head went bang and was bounced off of it.
How are you today, sir? Have you ever heard of Scientology?
When I came out of it, I had blood coming from the back of my skull. And I realized my brother might have put my lights out forever when he jumped me. That was a tough moment. I felt very much alone. I talked to my auditor about what happened.
And I hate to be the one to say it, but I have to. Your brother is an extreme case. And
She tells me that as long as I'm connected to him, I'm going to continue to be messed up.
what might be best for you to move forward positively is to cut ties with him.
I was desperate. There was nowhere else to go with my brother. I didn't know what to do. Around the same time, a Sea Organization recruiter comes to the Scientology Center.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Mark, before we get started, I wanted to apologize.
The recruiter told me he's heard about my brother and he's very apologetic that they couldn't do anything about it. And he's really an impressive talker.
Able to treat him?
I'm being told that not only are we going to be dealing with my brother, we're going to deal with mental healing on the entire planet. All that mattered to me was to try to mend my family. And so I was in.
You can go in there and sign that contract right away.
Let's go.
Excellent. Let's do it.
The Sea Org contract is for 1 billion years, which I took to be a symbolic thing, that it's a lifetime commitment. I didn't think twice about it. I thought, life is not worth living if I can't salvage what's left of my family. And so I signed the contract.
Mark, welcome to Sea Org.
Thank you.
And off to LA I went in January of 1978.
I grew up in Scientology. My mother was in the Sea Organization and worked for 80 hours a week. I very rarely saw her. I signed my first billion-year contract when I was 6. As a child, I had no concept of what does that even mean. In Scientology, and especially in the Sea Organization, they go to extreme lengths to prevent you from being able to leave.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Los Angeles. You are the elite.
I was put on a team known as the Estates Projects Force.
You have been chosen.
The Estates Project Force is the entrance level to the Sea Organization, and what you do is you work about 5 hours a day or more.
Heavy labor, manual labor, good labor.
And then 5 hours a day of study. And it just reinforces all that indoctrination. My job was renovating this entire complex. It was sort of high morale type of work with a bunch of people that were, you know, kind of excited about what they're doing and purposeful. I was very successful, and so it was only a couple weeks where I got chosen to go on a different project.
Mark. Oh, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Mark, I've got something very exciting to offer you. Something that's only offered to a very select few.
I was asked to go over the rainbow.
And I think you're the man for the job.
Over the rainbow is the innermost sanctum of Scientology.
You're going to be working in very close contact with our leader.
rainbow because it's like this mystical, great place where the elusive Hubbard is. There was a tremendous amount of mystique surrounding Hubbard. He was a very charismatic figure.
Well done. Thank you.
So it was a great privilege and honor to be chosen to be able to go to where L. Ron Hubbard was operating from.
Mark? Sir? There are some security procedures you must follow to the letter. Everything into that box.
When I was promoted to go over the rainbow, I was struck by the extreme security instantly. There was a lot of pressure to conform and not fail.
I had to put all my belongings in a box, and somebody would pick those up and take them over the rainbow.
Put these clothes on.
I was told I had to go to a designated place and make sure I wasn't followed. This is the depth of the security that went on.
It was a secret location. I was not allowed to know where I was going.
Good luck. Thank you, sir.
It was a pretty extreme process.
I waited in a parking lot where I got picked up.
Mark.
Hey.
Sarge.
See.
Sarge told me everybody had to have an AKA, and also known as. So I chose Marty, and then the name stuck with me. When I got there, Hubbard was not at the headquarters. So Hubbard appointed what he called messengers who had to be treated as if they were Hubbard himself. They were young kids who had grown up with him, so they were considered that they were superior to anybody else. They were sort of in the process of becoming the new top level of management. One of them was this young man, David Miscavige.
I lived in fear of David Miscavige. He was not to be crossed. He had a serious reputation. You had to be on your best behavior. You could very easily get in trouble around him.
If you were insubordinate or if you were impolite, it was as if you were telling Hubbard and you were treating him in that way. One of the projects we had to do was to defiberglass Hubbard's home while he was gone. We had to gut all the fiberglass insulation of the house and replace it. Miscavige would come in and he'd do a white glove inspection. It's a military term, but you take a white glove and you rub it up against the furniture. If I take a white glove and I find anything that's detectable on that glove anywhere, it's a flunk.
Do you think this is a joke?
We were told we had to go do it again. And it's pretty clear that he was probably the most intense, driven, dedicated of all the messengers. Forget the moralities. The person who gets it done, that's who gets the accolades, and the person who gets in the way is the person who gets the penalty.
I've got something exciting for you.
One day, my father called me. He told me that my brother had died. And so I went to see him. I felt a tremendous amount of compassion and grief about my brother. I was so immersed in Scientology that I spent the night and took off the next morning. Now, it wasn't just my brother's life or death that mattered to me. It was everybody's life or death. I got promoted into L. Ron Hubbard's external communications unit. There was a great fear that the government was trying to infiltrate and destroy Scientology. And I realized the extent to which they could go to protect Scientology from the outside world.
Scientology considers that government organizations, psychology, psychiatry, media are bent on destroying Scientology.
I got appointed to the All Clear unit. My job was to clear Hubbard's name. Soon I knew more about illegal operations in Scientology than anybody. There's 100,000 pages of documents detailing in excruciating detail the most horrendous, nefarious harassment operations against media people, private individuals, former members. It was shocking. Then it became this whole international issue. In 1983, we had received some intelligence that there might be a plan afoot to follow up the Toronto raid with raids on all the other Scientology centers in Canada.
Hello.
I was always engaged in putting out the fires that were the most harrowing for the church.
All right, I'm on it.
So I received directions from Miscavige to make sure the offices are clean. I went to Ottawa, found the guy who was in charge of the files that they had there. The files were unbelievable. They had walls lined with file cabinets of intelligence on virtually every politician that ever walked. So I told him what the score was, and we were cleaning up.
We're gonna need a truck and some gas.
He said he knew a place that was remote where we could have an unlimited-sized bonfire. Within 48 hours, we destroyed all of the evidence of wrongdoing from coast to coast in Canada. I felt completely justified. I believe there's this vast conspiracy to destroy us while we were trying to save the planet. So the ends justify the means.
Ready for the schedule?
Marty Rathbun was considered to be David Miscavige's right-hand man. I was Marty's direct junior.
Yes. Hello.
Marty's word was followed as if it were coming from David Miscavige.
Hey, yeah, I think we've got another one.
After Hubbard's death, a number of high-level people defected from Scientology, which was unprecedented.
Another one?
In response, the security was heightened by Miscavige.
Yeah, I'm ready. Give it time.
As Inspector General, I was responsible for all of security, which included the institution of the blow drill to prevent people from leaving.
I need you to get me all the personnel files on this person right here.
Right away.
In Scientology, the term blow is an unauthorized departure. Someone who blows is someone who escapes.
This is the Inspector General. Put me through to security.
It was never something openly talked about when somebody blew, but it was considered to be a very bad thing.
Yes, we got another one. We're gonna have to initiate the blow drill.
The blow drill varied depending on the nature of the person who blew. And so the closer they were to David Miscavige, the more intense the drill would become. First thing it would entail is going through all the personnel folders to figure out all the different places that this person might go. We'd get possibilities down to, okay, well, he's talked about his parents in auditing session about longing to see them, so we're pretty sure he's going that way.
He's driving a gray sedan. Keep your eyes open for that.
We get groups of people calling motels along that route to see if somebody's there.
Hello, is this the Sunnyside Motel?
If the person's there,
Can you tell me when he checked out?
boom. The earlier you cut them off, the more likely you are to recover them. If you didn't get them within the 6-8 hours, you would hit a whole different level of sophistication. We'd get their credit card information, their bank account information, and check to see what their spending habits were. We did the same things with the phone companies. You get who's going to impinge on him the most, his best friend, his senior. You get them in a car, boom. They're at the place, bam, bam, bam. Open the door, get him in there, high pressure.
You need to take a seat.
The last resort was to use what we call severe reality adjustment.
Where were you? Where you been? We know a lot more about you than you think we do. You can't just disappear like that.
And that means getting right up in somebody's grill and overwhelming them with volume.
When were you planning on coming back? Sorry, okay?
To the point where they're reduced to some weakened state where they're changing their ways. In 1993, I discovered my father was dying of cancer. I thought, I'm going to take some time off, some quality time with my dad before he dies. I had to ask for a special permission, which literally had to come from Miscavige.
Are you sure he knows I'm here?
Not only could I not get a leave of absence, I couldn't even get into a position where I could ask for a single day off.
Is he coming out here or not? No, forget it. I'm done.
So I said, F it. I got on my bike and I left. I totally blew. Getting space and getting distance. That's all I was thinking about. I drove as far as I could.
Always people would get in trouble after somebody blew. How was this able to happen? Who let it happen? Those people would get in a lot of trouble.
They were hunting me down like a dog in the street.
I want all the files on Marty Rathbun.
All of a sudden, we were told to gather up all of Marty's auditing records where he confided all of his deepest, darkest secrets. He had close to 100, and those were all being very thoroughly gone through. Scientology has a wealth of information on any given person. Where you went to school, who your friends were, what your relationship was, any person you ever had a sexual relationship with, any drugs you've taken. It's literally a history of your life. They were making a list of who he was close to, like who he would confide in, who he would go to.
I called my dad within an hour of me leaving.
Hello, Dad? Dad, are you there? Dad, it's me. Are you okay? Look, is he coming out here or not? No, forget it. I'm done.
Hi, Marty. I'm here with your dad. Why don't you come by and see us?
They sent some people to my father's deathbed within 2 hours of me leaving.
I'm not coming back.
The guy was telling me David Miscavige is having a nervous breakdown because he feels he mistreated you and it's destroying him.
I'm not coming back.
I couldn't go to my father's deathbed because they're going to try to get me to come back. I called my dad. But the same person answers.
Put my dad on the phone.
He was begging me to take the call from Miscavige.
No, look, I already told you. I have nothing to say to him.
The guy gives me this sympathy pitch to beat all sympathy pitches.
Fine. Put him through. Hello, David.
He was begging me to come back. He said, please meet me. He says, I'll get on a plane immediately. I'm the last guy in the world who's going to be intimidated. And so I'm the one guy he has to freaking kowtow to and treat as a decent human being.
I'll tell you what, I'll meet you in 2 days.
We hashed it out over many, many hours.
How many times can I tell you I'm not coming back?
He could have offered me $100 million. I wouldn't have taken it. It took him 6 hours to get the message. I ain't coming back. I was done, man. You don't understand. I was done. Hasta la vista. Adios. Out of there. He then pulled out this enticement.
What if we were to train you as a top-level auditor?
That I could finally train as an auditor. That's extremely appealing to me because it's the whole reason I got into Scientology in the first place. The only thing that possibly would appeal to me is training to be an auditor.
Say yes.
And so I agreed to his offer and we returned to the organization.
All right, yeah. For sure. Thank you.
When I returned to the base, everything had changed. Miscavige put the entire base on lockdown. Every staff member was on the restricted list. They couldn't leave the base without special permission, which literally had to come from him. People were on shortened meal breaks, the pay was cut, no time off.
The level of punishment and restrictions became grueling. Anybody that was in David Miscavige's bad graces was kept in a place referred to as the Hole. Marty's position was referred to as IG, the Inspector General, junior only to David Miscavige. He certainly had a very tough position because David was becoming more and more volatile. And Marty was his ultimate right-hand man.
Who here would like to confess?
Whoever was on the bad list would have to get up and confess just the most personal, crazy things about intentions that he had towards Miscavige. There was this guy who would not confess anything.
Get up.
David got on me to extract a confession, but he just wouldn't talk.
I know you have more to say.
Stop lying to me! Tell me everything!
So I had him by the lapels and I was bouncing him off the floor. He just looked at me and he said under his breath, I don't want to play this game anymore. That really impinged on me. I didn't say anything, but I let him loose. I was the greatest defender of Scientology, but I got to the point where I went, I am really disgusted with what we and I have become. And that ultimately, I think, was the flashpoint for me. Shortly after that, I was really in a state.
Did you give him a black eye? No, sir.
My neck was grabbed like a vice, and I was banged up against a metal wall, and I kind of got dazed. I found out later I had a torn eardrum. It was that crazy. It was just a bizarre scene. Next thing I knew, I was called down to the hole. When I got put in the hole, David Miscavige made this great announcement.
After all this time, I finally realized who it is that's really suppressing me.
Anybody that wanted to damage or hurt or stop Scientology in any way was what's called a suppressive person, antisocial personality who's bent on destroying mankind.
He said, aha, I finally got it.
It's Marty.
And he said, there's only one new rule for the hole.
If anybody listens to Marty,
they're getting declared suppressive.
there's only one new rule in the hole. If anybody listens to Marty, they're getting declared suppressive.
Next night, everybody in the hole gets rounded up, and we all go down in this storage room. Miscavige comes in the door and sees this guy. He beats him with his fists. He elbows him with his elbows. He knees him with his knees, and when he's down on the floor, he kicks him with his feet.
Stop.
I saw hundreds of instances of Miscavige being physically violent with staff. I'd seen him shove, throttle, punch numerous staff members.
At that moment, I went to myself, I'm either going to do something I'm going to regret, or I'm going to remove myself from the environment so I don't do it. That was it. I had to get out of there. We were all heading back towards the hole. I gravitated towards the back of the line. And as everybody was moving into the hole, I slid away, went across the property furtively to locate my motorcycle. It was 300 yards from where the hole was. And I knew the property so well. I knew where people would be walking.
My first inkling that something was really wrong was when I was radioed by David Miscavige's personal assistant.
This is Sherry. Where's Marty?
I'm trying to get a hold of him. I can't reach him. I'll keep trying.
I had started to radio Marty, but it wouldn't go through.
Marty, this is Claire. Do you read me? Marty, please come in. Go check and see if his bike's still there. Marty, this is Claire. Please come in. Go check the back gate. Marty, this is Claire. Please, do you read me?
The security chief went into immediate action to start tracking down Marty.
I'm about 100 feet away from the gate. There is a chain link fence and barbed wire on the top. They're also outfitted with motion detectors.
There's no sign of him here.
That's when the panic set in, and it was extreme panic. Like, oh my goodness. I knew heads were gonna roll. And at that point is when the blow drill was activated.
I waited for some time until I see a vehicle. I knew that there was a lag on that gate if I timed it right when that car had gone through. I have 8 to 10 seconds before it got too small of a gap to get through. I'm just waiting for the moment. All my senses got really acute. Suddenly I see a vehicle. I waited and watched. As soon as the gate was nearly open, he started to go out. I had an opportunity. Only when he was through did I punch him. And then just hit it, accelerated real fast. I only had a foot to spare on both sides of my handlebars. I got out of there.
It became pretty immediately evident that he was no longer on the property.
Okay, we'll discuss it then. I'll have to call you back.
David considered it a security threat to him personally because Marty had witnessed Miscavige's violence. He knew how Miscavige works.
I felt exhilarated. I wasn't really even thinking I was gone until I was well on my way up the coast heading towards Northern California. And it was only at that time that I breathed a sigh of relief. I've got my space.
Marty was the only layer between me and Miscavige, so I knew I would get in trouble. I was removed from my post and put on heavy manual labor. I was denied dining hall privileges, and I ended up with extreme weight loss, barely sleeping. I was just a wreck.
Come on, Marty. Got anything to say? I should get off my property, boy. You can't even defend yourself on this, can you?
Why don't we come out here and finish the interview, Marty?
I take responsibility for what I did to make the church what it is. The cult is a religious group that is so fanatic that it's created its own universe, and that's precisely what Scientology is. To get into a Scientology organization, you're literally taking your life into your hands.